In control. You said that.
Let me ask
you.
Somebody who know me for real, right? Who really know me.
Man, I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear.
Do you think I'm like from
The video ain't really the issue. The video being posted up on social media is the issue. If someone would have sent her that video privately, she and I would have had one conversation about it, and it would have been over.
Atlanta thought it was just another quiet night until the internet blew up with a betrayal so explosive, nobody saw it coming. A leaked hotel video hit social media like a bomb, shaking the Harris family to its core. The footage? It showed Clifford T.I. Harris in a dimly lit luxury hotel suite with none other than Shekinah Anderson, the woman the world once saw as Tiny's ride-or-die best friend. This wasn't hearsay. This wasn't some vague blog rumor. This was raw, crystal-clear footage that spread across TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram in minutes, sparking a digital firestorm. Hashtags like #exposed and #justice4Tiny shot to the top overnight, leaving fans stunned, critics disgusted, and supporters heartbroken. The video left no room for excuses. Champagne bottles glimmered on the table, curtains barely drawn, and right in the center, T.I. and Shekinah wrapped up in an embrace that shattered the loyal, family man image he spent decades preaching. Loyalty, family, respect. In one night, all of it evaporated.
It just put a lot of back and forth, a lot more strain on just what we had going on. Afraid of that. And it did put some strain on our relationship. If you see him, we was about to divorce here and there and breaking up here and there.
Fans quickly began stitching the clip with old interviews of Tiny talking about love and trust, making the betrayal cut even deeper. What was once gossip turned into a full-blown digital earthquake, tearing down a marriage and turning private heartbreak into global humiliation. But Tiny wasn't about to retreat quietly. Instead of hiding behind cryptic captions or disappearing from the spotlight, she walked straight into court with her head held high and pain written across her face. She filed what's already being called the betrayal lawsuit of the decade, a $50 million lawsuit against both T.I. and Shekinah, accusing them of emotional abuse, betrayal, and dragging her name through the mud for the whole world to see. Reporters were floored. $50 million was the price Tiny put on decades of loyalty destroyed, her family broken, and her dignity shattered in public. The courtroom instantly became America's most watched stage. Cameras flashed, lawyers read charges, and then came the bombshell nobody expected. An anonymous source slipped the court a secret diary allegedly written by Shekinah herself. Inside were lines sharp enough to slice through steel. Clifford promised me he'd leave Tiny. He told me we'd rule the industry together. The moment those words were read aloud, Tiny broke down in tears, screaming that they had destroyed her life and stolen her family. The breakdown went viral in minutes. Millions watched Tiny, no longer just a celebrity wife, but a woman at the center of one of the messiest betrayals ever seen, and rallied behind her like she was a symbol for every woman who'd ever been wronged. But T.I. wasn't gonna let that narrative run wild. His lawyers fired back, claiming the video was staged, part of a setup, and that Shekinah had manipulated everything to chase clout. The courtroom gasped. Was this really betrayal, or was there a deeper plot to take T.I. down? Shekinah didn't stay quiet. She rose from her seat and snapped that T.I. had been the one manipulating her, promising love, a future, and leaving her to carry the weight alone. Two women who were once inseparable now stood on opposite sides of the battlefield, fighting for truth and dignity, while one man sat at the center of the storm. Outside, the internet turned vicious. Shekinah's Instagram became a war zone, flooded with snake emojis, accusations, and heartbreak. Memes painted her as the villain of a modern tragedy. Tiny, meanwhile, was elevated to hero status, her face appearing on murals with captions like "Justice for Tiny" and "The Queen deserves better." Supporters filled timelines with crying emojis and words of support, while critics tore into T.I. for burning down his own empire. The darkest moment came when Tiny walked out of court holding her daughter's hand. Cameras caught her trembling voice as she looked down and cried, "Look what your father did to us! Look how he destroyed our home!" That clip froze timelines. Endorsements crumbled. Concerts were canceled. Angry fans gathered outside T.I.'s mansion demanding accountability. Shekinah's reputation went up in flames overnight, while Tiny, though broken, stood as the woman the world wept for. Then came the evidence nobody expected. Tiny's lawyers dropped audio recordings that changed everything. A voice sounding exactly like T.I. whispered, "Just keep it quiet, Shekinah. Tiny can never know. If this gets out, everything I built is gone." The courtroom collectively gasped. Reporters scrambled to tweet. Tiny buried her face in her hands as the betrayal echoed through the speakers like a confession. Hotel receipts soon followed, showing Shekinah's name directly tied to T.I.'s reservations. Suddenly, this wasn't gossip. It was documented, stamped, undeniable betrayal. By day 2, the courtroom had turned into a full-blown theater of pain. Tiny's lawyers wheeled in a hard drive stacked with hours of secret recordings. As the first clip played, the room froze. Again, that same voice. "Just keep it quiet, Shekinah. Tiny can never know. If this gets out, everything I built is gone." Gasps filled the room. Tiny covered her face. Reporters nearly tripped over each other trying to blast the quote online. The hashtags shifted instantly to hashtag Empire Destroyed, hashtag Tiny versus T.I., and hashtag Shekinah Exposed. Tiny's legal team then slammed down hotel receipts on the table. Bookings under T.I.'s name, with Shekinah listed as the guest. The jury's faces said everything. This was no rumor. This was betrayal on paper. Tiny's attorney turned to the jury and thundered, "This is not speculation. This is proof that Clifford Harris shattered his wife's trust, humiliated her, and destroyed their family for the world to watch." Tiny trembled, collapsing into her lawyer's arms as the courtroom buzzed in disbelief. The defense scrambled to regain control. T.I.'s lawyer waved papers, claiming the receipts were forged and that enemies in the industry had planted evidence to take him down. Conspiracy theories swirled online. Was this an elaborate setup, or was it truly one of hip-hop's coldest betrayals playing out live? The streets debated nonstop. Some defended T.I., calling him a victim, but most saw it for what it was, a betrayal so deep it left the culture in shock. Then came Shekinah's moment on the stand. Shaking but defiant, she stared at both T.I. and Tiny before confessing, "I never wanted to hurt Tiny. She was my sister, but T.I. promised me everything. He said he'd leave her. He said I was the one." Her voice cracked. Tears streamed down her face. The entire courtroom leaned in on every word. Protesters outside shouted. Fans inside hissed. She tried to paint herself as another victim, but sympathy was thin. Tiny's lawyers weren't done. They pulled up screenshots of alleged DMs between Shekinah and T.I. One of the messages read like a dagger. "Cliff, I can't wait until she's out of the picture. It's finally gonna be just us." The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed out to break the story. Social media froze under the weight of the screenshots. Shekinah wasn't just the other woman. She looked like a conspirator plotting against her best friend. Tiny turned to the judge through sobs and cried, "How much more do I have to see? How much more can a woman take?" That breakdown went viral, with fans calling it one of the most raw, heartbreaking moments ever caught on camera. But the avalanche didn't stop there. A hotel employee testified that he personally saw T.I. and Shekinah checking in together on multiple occasions. His words sent shockwaves through the room. T.I. snapped, slamming his fist on the table and shouting, "They're lying! This is all lies! I'm being set up!" The outburst only intensified the chaos. The judge's patience snapped the moment T.I. slammed his fist on the table. He leaned forward, voice echoing through the packed courtroom, threatening him with contempt charges. Cameras caught every second of the meltdown, and within hours the clip had racked up millions of views. Captions like, "The empire crumbles," and "Caught in the act" were plastered all over social media. Outside, chaos reigned. News vans lined the courthouse steps. Helicopters hovered overhead. Influencers live-streamed every twist to millions, analyzing every look and every word like it was the finale of a reality show. Protesters waved signs reading, "Ban the betrayers," while murals painted Tiny as a queen rising from ashes. Every tear, every whisper, every scream became content. A family's tragedy had transformed into a global circus. And then, just when everyone thought they'd seen it all, the financial bombshell dropped. An anonymous source leaked bank records showing massive transfers, tens of thousands at a time, from T.I.'s accounts to Shekinah over 2 years. The implication was explosive. This wasn't just an affair. This looked like hush money. When the numbers flashed on the courtroom projector, Tiny gasped. The jury's jaws dropped, and Shekinah broke down screaming, "It wasn't about money. I loved him. I thought he loved me back." Critics called her breakdown the performance of a lifetime. Fans called it the final nail in the coffin. By this point, Tiny had transformed from a betrayed wife into something bigger. She became a symbol for every woman who had ever stood by the wrong man. Emerging from the courthouse pale but steady, she whispered to cameras, "This isn't just about me. This is about every woman who's ever been lied to, betrayed, and broken. I will fight until the truth is heard." Those words replayed on every major outlet, cementing her as the tragic heroine of this saga. Meanwhile, T.I. sat stone-faced, watching decades of work collapse. Endorsements gone, tours canceled, protesters chanting outside his mansion. His name now dripped with betrayal, not respect. Shekinah, who once chased fame, was now drowning in shame. Her Instagram turned into a battlefield of memes, snake emojis, and endless hate. Tiny, though shattered, stood taller than ever. Her pain amplified by millions who now saw her as the queen of heartbreak and resilience. What started as a single leaked video had spiraled into a war of receipts, recordings, betrayals, and tears. By the third week, the trial no longer felt like a legal battle. It had become a full-blown Shakespearean tragedy playing out in real time. Inside the courtroom, silence pressed down like a weight. Tiny, hands trembling, stared at the two people who had ripped her world apart. Her husband, T.I., and her former best friend, Shekinah. The betrayal wasn't speculation anymore. It was being read out loud, line by line, in diaries, voicemails, and receipts too damning to ignore. Shekinah took the microphone with shaking hands. Her voice cracked through the stillness. "Clifford promised me love. He promised me freedom. He told me Tiny was holding him back." The gallery gasped. Tiny collapsed into her lawyer's arms as the outside world stopped scrolling. This wasn't celebrity gossip anymore. This was heartbreak, weaponized and broadcast to millions. Social media exploded again. Hashtags like #TinyBroken and #ExposeForever dominated every platform. Fans posted tearful reaction videos, influencers read diary entries live, memes of T.I. flooded timelines with captions like "Empire of Lies" and "Snake of the South." Shekinah was branded a homewrecker, with people digging up old clips and dragging her for chasing clout. The internet had picked its queen, and it was Tiny, broken but undefeated, humiliated yet held up as a symbol of every betrayed woman. And then came the second leak. Tiny's lawyers unveiled a private voicemail between T.I. and Shekinah. His voice, low and desperate, confessed, "I can't let Tiny know. If this gets out, it's over for me. But you're the only one who understands me." The entire courtroom froze. Reporters rushed to get the audio online. Tiny let out a scream so piercing it silenced the building. "You ruined my family! You lied to my children!" The outburst dominated headlines. Clips of that moment replayed non-stop, cementing this as one of the most devastating betrayals in hip-hop history. Outside, Atlanta felt like it was on fire. Protesters filled the streets, chanting for justice and waving posters that read, "Justice for Tiny" and "Cancel T.I. forever." Others mocked Shekinah with cutouts and chants, making it clear she had become the internet's villain of the year. The courthouse steps turned into a media war zone. News anchors, podcasters, and YouTubers battled for camera time, dissecting every scream, every tear, every diary entry. Helicopters circled above as fans live-streamed the downfall of a man once seen as untouchable. Inside, Tiny gave testimony that broke hearts worldwide. Her voice cracked as she said, "I gave him my youth, my loyalty, my heart, and he traded it all for lies with my so-called best friend." Her words sliced through the courtroom like knives. "I tried to spin it, claiming he'd been manipulated and trapped, but the jury's cold stares told the story. Nobody was buying it." Shekinah burst out again, shouting, "He loved me! Don't make me the villain when all I did was believe his lies." But no one flinched. To the world, she had crossed the ultimate line. She betrayed her best friend for the man she should have protected her from. Then came the final dagger. Tiny's lawyers pulled out diary entries in Shekinah's own handwriting. Lines like, "Clifford said we'd rule the industry together. Tiny is nothing compared to what we have." The gallery gasped again. Tiny collapsed, clutching her chest and whispering, "Why me?" Cameras caught every second, and the footage was replayed around the globe. By the time the judge adjourned, the damage was irreversible. Tiny was carried into a black SUV, sobbing uncontrollably. T.I. left with his head down, ignoring reporters as boos rained from the crowd. Shekinah pushed through a storm of insults, her once loud personality buried under shame. Social media flooded with reaction clips of Tiny's breakdown. Fans cried with her. Influencers shared their own stories of betrayal. Radio stations debated pulling T.I.'s music. Boycotts under #CancelTI trended. Endorsements disappeared overnight. Tours were scrapped. His empire, once untouchable, was crumbling brick by brick, and the world was watching every piece fall. Shekinah's name became synonymous with scandal. Her old reality show clips were turned into memes mocking her downfall. Tiny, though shattered, carried herself like a survivor. The queen of heartbreak, lifted by global sympathy. The most haunting image came from a shaky fan video. Tiny, holding her daughter's hand, whispering, "This is why I fought to protect you, to show you no woman deserves this." The video went viral instantly with the caption, "A queen broken, but never defeated." It summed everything up: betrayal, pain, resilience, and strength in the middle of absolute ruin. And as the dust settles, the questions linger. Will Tiny ever truly heal? Can T.I. recover his legacy, or is it poisoned forever? And has Shekinah sealed her place as one of hip-hop's most hated figures? This wasn't just a scandal anymore. It was betrayal on the grandest stage. A love story shattered, a friendship turned to knives, and an empire reduced to ashes. And let's not forget the ones who didn't choose any of this. The children, now forced to carry the scars of decisions they never made. We throw the word scandal around like it's just entertainment, but this wasn't some tabloid headline for cheap clicks. This was real tragedy. A family torn apart under flashing cameras. A courtroom transformed into a stage. Millions of eyes glued to screens, watching a woman who once stood beside a king now cry out for justice as her empire crumbled piece by piece. History won't remember this as just another messy story. It will remember the day a dynasty fell. The day betrayal wasn't whispered behind closed doors, but blasted across the world in high definition. The day a queen stood in the ashes of everything she built and demanded the truth be seen. So now, the question turns to you. Where do you stand? Do you stand with Tiny, the woman who carried love, loyalty, and heartbreak in front of millions? Do you believe T.I. can ever rebuild what's left of his shattered legacy? Or do you think Shekinah's betrayal was the final blow that destroyed every last piece of trust this family had? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this isn't just gossip anymore. This is history unfolding in real time. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, share it with your people, and let's talk about it.